it's not been a good week for the Italian sides in the Champions League. We know Napoli are already out, and then when it comes to the first leg playoff ties, Juventus, Inter and Atalanta all lost their games. Bodo Glimt with that big result in against Inter, and then of course
that's a good comment there. Bodo shaming.
Bodo shaming, and Juve beaten 5-2 by Galatasaray. We want to hear once again from Jürgen Klinsmann with his take on it.
I already spoke to some friends in Milano. This is an earthquake for Italian football. Bodo Glimt, they are still in off-season. They haven't even started their season yet in Norway. The body language of the Inter players that they were confronted with this high energy from Bodo Glimt, they didn't know what to do. And this is a disaster. It's a disaster for a club like Inter Milan in the knockout phase of the Champions League. If you want to win a game, you got to go and risk something, and you got to go and get the 3 points. For the Italians, tying the game, ending up with 1 point, is always still accepted. The top teams in Italy, we have to approach it like the rest of the world and say, we're going to go for 3 points. We want to win the game and not basically just play for not losing the game. Tonight, this is a real tragedy for Italian football, as it was last night with Juventus at Galatasaray. I mean, this is unacceptable for Italians, conceding 5 goals in Turkey and 3 in Norway. They're getting real nightmares with the Norwegian, the Italians, because Norway kicked out, obviously, the Italian national team from qualifying directly to the World Cup. Italy has to go to the qualifiers at the end of March. And now comes Bodo Glimt and sends them home with a 3-1 package. I mean, they have nightmares about Norway.
And Paolo Di Canio has added some fuel to the fire and hit out at the Serie A team, saying our perception of Italian football is that we are phenomenal. Yet, Napoli play away at PSV and concede 6 goals. Inter conceded 5 goals in the Champions League final against PSG, but it could have been 10. There's a narration according to which Italian players could play for Manchester City. Who? Italian players have not been signed across Europe for 15 years, which means they are not considered up to the task. Slight fact check there, in that Donnarumma is the starting goalkeeper for Manchester City, and that's a big and important position.
Right.
It's an Italian player.
But I think we get the message, though. and I think the big picture is that, and it's something that we have discussed in the show many times, is that for those of us that can remember the 90s and the 80s, I know people nowadays think of the 80s and the 90s as wow, a completely whole other universe. But yeah, there were the 80s and there were the 90s, and Italy and Italian football in particular was the top of the top, the best of the best. If you were among the best players in the world, that's where you wanted to go and play. And so to then see this contrast and this fall from grace, that it has been happening over time. We've seen it happening. We see how the trajectory of other leagues is going in a different direction, and Serie A haven't been able to keep up, haven't been able to keep up with infrastructure, haven't been able to keep up in terms of how they present their product, haven't been able to keep up in terms of how they develop their own players, how they nurture the Italian player. In all honesty, if you are to pick out an Italian player out there in the world that say, that guy, if we're putting an all 11 from all over the world, is there an Italian player in that team? Where there used to be 2, 3, 4, it's not the case now. And I'm not even talking about, I'm not even leaving this to the elite teams and the best players. I think there is a very clear drop-off as to what Italian football used to be and what they are now. And they have been the last ones to recognize it. Some, I think, in some regards, because of their own arrogance in believing, we're on top of the world. Nothing's happening. We don't want to see the truth. we don't want to see the truth around us. And the house is burning down. It's like, no, it's not on fire. It's all right. We're good. We got this. The rest of the world has taken off. Italy has stayed at a level in which now they're taking a step back, and now it's too far to catch up. And that's why we see the things that we see with the national team. That's why we see the things that we see with the club teams. And that's why Paolo Di Canio comes out and says what he says, because he's seeing the house on fire.
Frank?
Yeah, I cannot more agree with Ali than everything he said, and that's crazy because I played against Italian teams and I played with Italian players and I saw them, and the Italian league, the culture was amazing. Where on top of, as Ali said, you had fantastic Italian players. Everybody was going there. Jürgen Klinsmann, Lothar Matthaus, all the Dutch, Rijkaard, Van Basten, Gullit, and all the French, Desailly, Zidane, Deschamps, Trezeguet, Thuram, Bogossian. That was insane. This league was insanely the best in the world. And suddenly, after the 90s, in 2000, 2001, it dropped like crazy. Everybody left to Spain or England, like Zola, Vialli, Di Matteo, for example, Italian players, but also Zidane, Deschamps going to Spain, so many others doing that. And the drop-off was crazy that nowadays, for me, it's only the fifth league in the world or in Europe, and it goes beyond the Ligue 1 for me. Because in the Ligue 1, you have players, French players, that everybody in the world still want. I can't name any Italian players where you say, ooh, that guy should go to Liverpool, Manchester United, City, Chelsea, or Real Madrid and Barcelona. I don't see anybody but Donnarumma. That's it. That says a lot about the quality. Excuse me? Calafiori, yes, Calafiori, okay, but, well, you know what? Still Calafiori is still to prove me that he's still the top of the top, like we had Maldini. Come on, you want to compare? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. That I'm still not convinced with the players that I see. And look at the national team. Look the result of the national team. It says a lot. That wasn't even a debate before. It never happened. Italy was a threat to any national team. You knew that against Italy you had a problem. You don't have a problem anymore. So they have to look at themselves and correct the way they are thinking the football, because they drop like crazy.
Jan, let me come to you, because in Inter's defence, of the teams that we're seeing here, they're probably the most likely to turn things around with the attack that they've got, because Bodo Glimt has been a hellish ground for a number of big teams already. We've seen that.
Yeah, but I will take a myth. First of all, this is Bodo Glimt who went to Dortmund and played 2-2. This is the Bodo Glimt who went to Atletico Madrid and won the game. So this AstroTurf, cold, snowish kind of excuses, forget it. They have because they have deserved won this. But you always had the best coaches. The development of the coaches. You remember Sacchi was way beyond everybody else, and you had Capello. You had so many great coaches coming through it, and now it feels like the football train has left the station, and Italy didn't know which time it went. They were just left on the perron. They were just standing there, and there is just. And when we went to Norway, that was in our qualification group. When we went down there and beat them 4-1, and I was sitting before the game, I knew Donnarumma was in goal, but I saw the rest of the team, and I was thinking, who is playing for Italy now? I mean, back in the days, those were the best players. And Di Canio has a point, although I think that Donnarumma will be a candidate for any all-star team because he's a great goalkeeper. But who is there now? What's the next big thing from Italy? They always had a big talents. Where are they?
And to Jan's point, it's a World Cup year, right? And one of the things that we do during the World Cup is we collect the stickers, right, for the World Cup and the photo album of the World Cup teams. In World Cups from years past, let's go back 20 years, you would know every single player that was going to be in that Italian national team that was part of that photo album that you were collecting. You knew who they were, you knew where they played, you knew their trajectory, you knew what they had won, because that's how important and relevant they were in the landscape of world football. You cannot do the same with this Italian national team, assuming that they make it to the World Cup. Assuming that they make it to the World Cup. Which that in itself tells you where we are, that this is part of the conversation. We're no longer saying, well, for certain they're going to be in. No, let's see if they get through the qualification process, because Norway, when I say Norway kicked the backside of Italy, it is it was a whooping over 2 games. Well, you don't think that you carry that with you if you're Italy? And a team with that sort of history, you don't think you carry the failures from the past into the qualification playoff? You do. The pressure is on you. And so we assume that they're going to be in it, and that still doesn't change the fact that those players, you have Donnarumma here, maybe this guy over there. I'm supposed to get excited about Pio Esposito. Maybe I'll get excited about that guy sometime if he plays regularly, but he doesn't. Who am I going to get excited about? Chiesa, he doesn't play regularly in Liverpool. You brought Calafiori. He doesn't play regularly at Arsenal. Who am I getting excited about if I'm an Italian? Okay, all right. Who am I getting excited about?
Ramazzotti? Oh, no, he's a singer. He's a singer.
Yes, he's a singer.
Frank.
One thing that I want to say about Jan's comment about the football train, I have to tell you that I took the fast train in Italy. It's much better than the fast train in France. So that's something wrong. You know, you cannot compare.
We do have to bring up the financial pressure, though, don't we? Because they face more financial pressure now, which has come up. So the export of Italian talent has happened more. I looked back to see, in terms of transfers, Serie A teams have not been able to spend 75 million plus euros for a player since 2022 when Juve signed Vlahovic from within the league. So then you're losing talent like Victor Osimhen to teams that can pay a lot more money.
Yeah, but this goes along with something that Jan mentioned earlier, and Frank has alluded to it, and I mentioned it as well. It's not just about the players and the talent level within Serie A and the academy products and how you nurture and grow Italian players. It's not just about that. It's how you are presenting your product. It's the quality of the stadiums. It's everything that now is part of running a football team at the elite level. It's the suites in the stadium. It's how you present your team, how you actually sell your team at a corporate level. These are things that you now have to do in order to have the revenue to be able to keep these players. But if you watch Serie A, and we watch it, the way it is presented, it seems like the rest of the world is on high definition, 4K, ultra, something or other, and these guys are still stuck in the 1990s, in the 1980s. And
that's true.
So it's difficult to create an argument for Serie A unless they're willing to modernize and that they get rid of the red tape, because there's a lot of red tape in Italian politics within those stadiums, within those cities. They have to get rid of that in order to be able to modernize and be able to compete. Right now, they're not competing.
And it's a very good point, because I think there's a lot of things we discussed in football this week that is also a society problem, and it's a part of the building a nation, building the infrastructure of a nation. And look at what Germany has managed to do when they had the World Cup. Now they will get it again. They will renovate their stadium. If you go to any club the club I know best in Germany is, of course, my Eintracht Frankfurt. Eintracht Frankfurt is run fantastically. There is B2B project. They have the big sponsors. When I was there last time, they just made a 10 years deal with Deutsche Bank. I mean, that's the companies that want to associate with the football club. And in Italy, this has been going on for years, because in the 80s and the 90s and into the new century, they were able still with the money to kind of get them in there. But if you saw now, there was this Deloitte list of the most valuable clubs in the world. And then you have your likes of Sunderland there. You have West Ham. You have all these clubs. But the Italians, they getting longer and longer down on the list because there is no infrastructure. Look at the stadium. I mean, Juventus got a great stadium. They got a stage. They got a platform they can present football on. But if you want to compare with the Premier League, you have to compare with the stadiums, the infrastructure, the way you commercialize football. And that hasn't happened in England, in Italy. And this is the consequence.
How do we say Das Reboot, Jan? In Italian, that's what they need, right?
That's exactly.
Yeah, okay. Good conversation, guys. Thanks so much. The guys will be joining us on Extra Time to answer your questions. Go check that out over on our YouTube channel.